Namasarvebhyaha. Welcome back to the course on Fundamentals of Asiddhatva in Paninian Grammar, presented by vyoma-samskrta-pathasala. Today is the 10th session of the course. We are seeing exceptions to Purvatrasiddham, in which we will see the fourth and the last case today, which is called Ashrayat Siddhatvam. येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्. So in this course we have seen the meaning and examples for Purvatrasiddham and are now trying to analyze the various cases in which Purvatrasiddham does not operate. So the first of those was the simple Utsarga Apavada Bhava, where Apavada is not a Siddha to Utsarga, even if it is placed later to the Utsarga in the tripadi. The next two exceptions were very specific to a particular sutra in the tripadi, where Asiddhatva is either partially or completely cancelled in a specific context. So by Nalopa Supswara Samya Tugvidhishu Kriti, Nalopa Pratipadikantasya, which is a Tripadi Sutra, is declared as a Siddha only to 4 specific contexts, and it is not a Siddha for all other contexts. Whereas by the next Sutra, Na Mune, the Tripadi Sutra, Arasosair Dadu Domaha, is declared as not a Siddha in the specific context of Nabhava given by Ango Nastaya. Nabhave kartavye kritecha mutvam asiddham na bhavati. The last kind of exception to Purvatrasiddham, which is seen in quite a few cases in the Ashtadhyayi, is called Ashrayat Siddhatvam. It is not specifically declared by a sutra, but it follows by the general principles of Ashtadhyayi, which is that a sutra cannot be superfluous or vyartha. So whenever a sutra is becoming vyartha, by the sutra karana samarthya, just by the fact that it is specifically declared, it manages to override some of the other conditions. So in this context, Asiddhatva is overridden by this power of the existence of a sutra. So Sutra Karana Samarthya. So we will see that it's a very popular example actually. So we have 2 sutras in Shashtadhyaya Prathamapada, Atororapluta and Hashicha. So these are the 2 sutras which are involved in what is commonly recognized as Visargasya Uttvam or Ukaradeshaha. Even though in Paninian system, the Adesha is not for the Ukara. So the sutras say Hrasva Akarat Parasya Roho Ukaradeshaha Syat. So if there is Hrasva Akara followed by Ru, then that Ru is replaced by Ukara when either followed by Hrasva Akara or Hashi. So when followed by Hrasva Akara, the Ukaradesha is given by Atoro Rapluta, and when followed by the Hash letters, Ukaradesha is given by Hashicha. So they operate in the same context. So the example is Ramar Atra. So what is actually happening here? We generally say Ramaha Atra, but in the Prakriya Krama, we have Rama S, right? We will see that in the next slide. So there is Supratyaya. The Sakara is converted to Ru by the Sutra Sasajusho Ruhu. So we have the Rutva here, Ramar Atra. So this Rutva is preceded by Hrasva Akara and is also followed by Hrasva Akara. So by Atoro Rapluta, the Repha is converted to Ukara. Rama U Atra. Then there is Ad Gunaha. Gunasandhi to give Ramo Atra, and then finally Engah Padantadati, Purva Rupa Sandhi to give Ramotra. Very similarly, Ramar Gachati, Ukaradesha by Hashicha, then Guna Ramo Gachati. So these are very, very popular examples. But when we see the actual prakriya, so Rama S Atra, this Sakara being converted to Ru, Ukara is Anunasika. So what actually remains is Repha. So the sutra is Sasajushoruhu. Then we have Atoro Rapluta Raplute or Hashicha. Then Ad Gunaha. Then Enga Padanta Dati Ramotra. This is how we are deriving. But the problem is that this Rutva itself is in the Tripadi. Sasajushoruhu 8 to 66. This Rutva is Asiddha to Atoro Rapluta Daplute. So the process is actually stalled because Rutva itself is not known. This is the only sutra in the Ashtadhyayi that is in this context which gives Rutva. There are other contexts of Ru, but they don't apply here in this context. So for this one, we have Sasajushoruhu, which is in the Tripadi and is Asiddha. If it is Asiddha, we cannot apply Atoro Raplutad Aplute. And therefore, this Adgunaha and Engah Padantadati can apply only after Atoro Raplutad Aplute. So none of these steps can actually happen. So what do we do here? The thing is, here Atoroho is directly calling out Roho. Roho sthane. So there is an ashraya, direct dependency on Ru, which is always in the Tripadi. If you say Sasajusho Ruhu is Asiddha, there is nowhere that Atoro Rapluta Daplute can operate because Rutva is always Asiddha, which means the whole sutra is Vyartha. So that is what we call by this term Ashrayat Siddhatvam. So both Atoro Rapluta Raplute and Hashicha directly depend on Ru, Rutva. Roho sthane bhavati. So if there is no Ru, you cannot operate. You cannot apply the sutras. Therefore, Ru is the Ashraya, the substratum for these two sutras. So if Ru is Asiddha, if the Ashraya itself is invisible or not recognized, both the sutras are Vyartha because they cannot apply anywhere at all. They will not have a single example. And therefore, this critical dependency, Ashraya, on a particle generated from Tripadi operation. The Ru is the Ashraya and it is being generated only by a Tripadi operation. So this is the Ashraya for sutras in the Sapada Saptadhyayi. So in such a context, this dependency, the Ashraya itself overrides the Asiddhatva. So because Atoroho is directly calling out Roho, Rutva is Siddha. If it doesn't know Rutva, it cannot operate. So just by the power of being there, being dependent on Ru, it can remove that block and see Rutva. So this concept is called Ashrayat Siddhatvam. Okay. So there are actually Ashrayat Siddhatvam operates in quite a few places in the Ashtadhyayi. So as and when you study the various sutras, you will be able to identify this Ashrayat Siddhatvam and apply or understand that Asiddhatva does not operate in such direct contexts. With this, we have completed the exceptions to Purvatrasiddham. That is, we have seen where Purvatrasiddham applies and we have also seen where Purvatrasiddham does not apply. So in the next couple of sessions, we will wrap up the discussion on Purvatrasiddham with a discussion on Vipratishedha there, and also a summary of how things behave differently in Sapada Saptadhyayi and in the Tripadi. येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्।